6 hyenas had formed a tight circle around a young elephant calf in the middle of an open clearing. The little one was incredibly small, no older than 3 months. He spun in place, emitting desperate squeals, calling for his mother, who was nowhere to be seen. The pack's alpha, an individual with a torn ear, made the first move, snapping his jaws near the calf's feet. The little elephant leaped away, colliding with another hyena, which immediately latched onto its tail. I slammed my foot down on the accelerator. The Jeep lurched forward, crashing through bushes and splintering branches with its head. The clearing was just ahead, and I could see a third hyena flanking us, aiming for the calf's hocks. It was a classic tactic: immobilize the prey, then tear it apart alive. The Jeep burst into the clearing. I grabbed my rifle and fired into the air. The thunderous sound echoed across the savannah. The hyenas startled, but they didn't flee. They stopped about 20 paces away and began chattering amongst themselves with guttural cries. I jumped out of the vehicle, grabbed a flare gun, and fired it directly towards the alpha. The flare exploded in a burst of red fire with a deafening crack, and the pack finally faltered. The alpha barked a command. The hyenas turned and disappeared into the tall grass, but I knew they wouldn't go far. The elephant calf stood in the center of the field, trembling all over. Blood dripped from its bitten tail, but the wound was shallow, more of a scratch. I approached slowly, trying not to frighten it. Suddenly, the calf took a few steps towards me, nudged my leg with its trunk, and let out a piteous whimper. The youngster was utterly alone, without its mother, without its herd. Female elephants never abandon their young. But this little one had apparently wandered off, gotten separated from its herd, and was now alone in the savannah. To leave it here would be a death sentence. The hyenas would return moments after I drove away. I reached for the radio. "Base, this is Coffee. Found a solitary calf in the eastern sector. No herd tracks. Proceeding to search. Will remain in contact." I had to find its family. And quickly, I scanned the surroundings for tracks. Indentations from heavy feet, broken branches, piles of dung. About 50 paces away, I spotted characteristic furrows in the earth. Adult elephants had passed this way, and recently, as the grass hadn't yet straightened. The trail led northwest towards the hills. I started moving, and the calf immediately trotted along behind me, trying to keep pace. Its small legs struggled to keep up, but it stubbornly stayed close, clearly afraid of being left alone again. We followed the trail, and I noticed more signs. Not acacia branches at my level, fresh dung that the dung beetles hadn't yet dispersed. The herd had passed this way no more than an hour ago. 20 minutes later, we reached a dry riverbed, and I stopped. Across the dry channel, a herd of about 30 buffalo grazed, with several large bulls patrolling the perimeter. They spotted us immediately, and the nearest bull raised its head, staring in our direction. Its horns were enormous, curved like arcs, with sharp points capable of piercing even a rhinoceros's hide. Buffalo are among the most dangerous animals in Africa. They kill more people than lions. And now we were directly on the path of the elephant tracks, which led across their territory. The bull snorted and took a few steps towards us, lowering its head. The calf pressed against my leg and whimpered softly. I knew the rules. Don't run, don't make eye contact, don't make sudden movements. I placed my hand on the calf's head and began to move left, step by step. The bull suddenly stomped its hoof and made a feint. The calf flinched, wanting to bolt. I grabbed it by the ear and held it in place, continuing my steady pace. My heart pounded, but I didn't quicken my stride. Another bull joined the first. Both watched us with grim attention. We skirted the herd for about 10 minutes, making a wide detour through the dry grass. The buffalo gradually lost interest in us, returning to their usual grass grazing. When we finally reached the other side of the riverbed, I exhaled with relief. The elephant tracks continued towards a cluster of baobab trees on the hillside. Another half hour passed, and then I heard what I'd been waiting for: a low rumble of elephants somewhere beyond the trees. I quickened my pace. The calf trumpeted and ran ahead. The herd emerged from behind the baobabs. 8 adult female elephants and several youngsters. The little one rushed towards them with a joyful squeal. But something was wrong. The nearest elephant turned towards him, fanned her ears, and let out a warning roar. The calf stopped dead in its tracks. A second elephant stomped her foot. A third swung her trunk. They weren't accepting him. This was a different herd. Elephants recognize their own by scent, and this calf smelled like an outsider. I rushed forward and grabbed the calf, pulling it back. One of the elephants suddenly charged forward, her tusks whizzing past so close I felt the rush of air. I backed away, clutching the trembling calf to me, until we were at a safe distance. The calf whimpered sadly, not understanding why it had been rejected. I realized we had been following the wrong tracks all along. Somewhere out there, in the vast savannah, was its real mother, and we had to start all over. We turned back towards the fork in the tracks, and that's when I noticed them. 3 hyenas were lurking on the distant hill, watching us. The same pack. I recognized the alpha with the torn ear. They had been tracking us the entire time, waiting for the right moment. Every minute could cost us our lives. I returned to the fork, and this time took the second path, a fainter, almost invisible one. Judging by the size of the impressions, it was clear this faint trail belonged to a lone female elephant. She was walking alone, without a herd. Strange, female elephants always stick together. The calf suddenly stopped, raised its trunk, and began to sniff the air. Its ears twitched. It let out a short, excited sound and bolted forward with such speed that I could barely keep up. It seemed the calf had recognized its mother's scent. We ran out into an open space at the foot of the hill. I saw a solitary acacia tree with a wide canopy. Beneath the trees lay an elephant, enormous and still. She wasn't moving, not even her ears twitched. The calf rushed towards her with a piercing cry and began nudging her face with its trunk, pushing, trying to get her to stand. The elephant didn't react. I ran up and placed my hand on her neck, searching for a pulse. Her skin was warm, but I felt nothing. Had we been too late? Then the elephant slowly lifted her head. She was alive, but clearly suffering. Her eyes were clouded, her breathing heavy and raspy. The calf trumpeted with joy and pressed against her side, and I finally saw the cause of everything. On the elephant's right front leg, just above the knee, was a massive abscess, a swelling the size of a soccer ball, a terra-white color with stretched skin. An infection. The elephant couldn't walk properly due to the pain. Every step was agony. This was why she had fallen behind the herd. This was why she couldn't follow her calf when he'd wandered too far. This was why the little one had ended up alone in the savannah, at the mercy of hyenas. I grabbed my radio. Base, this is Coffee. Urgent need for a veterinary team. Sending coordinates. Adult female elephant with a severe leg abscess. Critical condition. Require Kvisi and Abina with a full surgical kit. The dispatcher's voice replied a few seconds later. Received, Coffee. Dispatching the team. They'll be with you shortly. I sat down beside the elephant and waited. The calf, nestled against her side, calmed down and fell silent. Next to its mother, it felt like home again. Half an hour later, a cloud of dust appeared on the horizon, and soon a veterinary pickup truck arrived. Kvisi and Abina jumped out with their equipment, quickly assessing the situation. Kvisi examined the abscess and frowned. We need to get her upright. The abscess is on the inner side of the leg. Lying down, we won't get proper access for drainage. The pus will spread into the muscle. Abina drew up a syringe and injected the elephant at the base of her ear. The skin is thinner there, and the medication enters the bloodstream faster. A light sedative, she explained. She'll stand, but she won't feel pain or flinch. A few minutes later, the elephant began to rise, slowly, unsteadily. First, she brought her front leg beneath her, then her hind legs, and finally, she stood. Her eyes were half open. She swayed, but remained on her feet. Kvisi approached with his instruments. The infection is advanced, at least 2 weeks old. It's remarkable she's still on her feet at all. He took out his scalpels and made an incision. Thick, yellowish-white pus gushed from the wound. The calf saw this and rushed toward its mother with a distressed cry, trying to push Kvisi away with its trunk. The little one thought its mother was being hurt. I grabbed it and pulled it aside, holding it close. Quiet, little one, they're helping her. The calf trembled but gradually calmed down and simply stood nearby, its eyes fixed on its mother. Abina was flushing the cavity with antiseptic. Kvisi was removing dead tissue. The elephant stood motionless, only shifting her weight occasionally. The procedure took almost an hour. Kvisi applied a drain, and Abina administered antibiotics and anti-inflammatories. When they finished, Kvisi turned to me. She'll survive, Coffee. In a month, she'll be as good as new. You found her in time. Another couple of days, and the infection would have entered her bloodstream. The elephant was gradually coming out of the sedative. Her eyes cleared. She looked around and let out a low sound. The calf immediately ran over and trumpeted, nudging her face. The elephant wrapped her trunk around him and pulled him close. She took a few cautious steps. I saw that her limp had almost disappeared. The pain was gone. For the next 2 weeks, I visited them every day. I checked the dressing, changed the drain, administered antibiotics. The calf already recognized the sound of my jeep from afar and ran to meet me, trumpeting joyfully. The elephant was recovering visibly, the wound was healing, and her strength was returning. She was already foraging and drinking water on her own. A month later, I made my final visit. The abscess had completely healed. Only a pink scar remained. The elephant stood in the shade of an acacia tree, and next to her played the calf, noticeably larger and stronger. He ran in circles, grabbed branches with his trunk, and nudged his mother's side. I got out of the jeep, and the calf ran up to me, nudging my chest with his trunk. The elephant also approached and let out a low sound, not threatening, but rather grateful. In the distance, the herd appeared. Her family was returning. The elephant turned her head, trumpeting in response to their calls. The calf wrapped its trunk around my arm one last time and ran to its mother. I watched them go, a large elephant and a small calf, side by side, step by step. They walked towards the herd at the foot of the hills and soon disappeared into the golden haze of the savannah.
Easy now, almost done. There we go, all patched up. Good job, little one. Я смотрел, как они уходят. Они шли к стаду у подножья холмов и скоро растворились в золотом мареве саванны. Да, подходи ближе, не стесняйся. Вот так, хороший звук. Я смотрел, как они уходят. Они шли к стаду у подножья холмов и скоро растворились в золотом мареве саванны. Я смотрел, как они уходят. Слониха